Hi everybody in class, this is Jonathan, and today we're going to run through the assignments and things for this week. So I appreciate all of your patience and being flexible and willing to try something a little different. So I'm recording this at my house right now, so one of several things may happen. My kids may come in and make noise. My computer may shut down, or some other craziness may happen. So bear with me, be patient. We're going to run through right now the simulation questions together. So before we do that, I wanted to pull up the schedule. This is our schedule for this fall. We are on this week, March 1st and March 3rd. For this week, you are responsible to do the Word Chapter 2 hands-on exercise and the Word Chapter 2 grader project. Notice that so there's the hands-on exercise, and then there's also the skills-based training in my IT lab. So there's three things to do, and notice that the skills-based training is due not this week, but next Tuesday. And the grader project, the one that you download, work on, and then upload, is due next Thursday, the 10th. So even if all of this fails, if all this goes over your head, next week I will be back, and on the 8th and the 10th, if you have any questions, we'll talk about all the things that you're interested in. Anyhow, let's get to work here. So I'm gonna quit Word. Oh, the other thing that's kind of interesting is that I am on a Macintosh computer. So we will see how that goes. Should be interesting. All right, so here are the course materials for, so if I go to course materials on my IT lab, and then go down to Module 2, Word Processing. This week we are working on Chapter 2. Before we get started, I wanted to show you a couple of things. For those of you that bought the book, you can use the Chapter 2 e-text. We also have some student videos and activity files. The activity files are going to be the same files that we use throughout all of these, throughout the simulations. But the videos themselves are actually worth noting. I went through and looked at the Chapter 2 videos, or at least the first one, and it's pretty decent. When you pull it pulls up a Camtasia recording, and there's a very nice person who goes through and essentially walks you through all of the skills that you'll need in order to be successful for this particular project. There it is. All right, anyhow, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. Feel free to take a look at the videos. If you do that, that will give you a very, very good foundation as to what you're supposed to know in all of this. It might be a little better than just trying to go in cold and do the skills-based training right off. But I am going to do the skills-based training. I've launched it here, and here it is. There's 15 questions that you have to do. So let's get started. I'm going to walk through this and give you some commentary as we go. All right, select all document text. A couple of ways to do that. Control A is probably the easiest. From here, it wants us to change the font to Times New Roman and the font size to 12 points. The font itself is found in the Home tab and the Font group. And there's a drop down here where you can go and select Times New Roman. Good old Times New Roman. There it is. Excellent. And we'll change the font size to 12 points. There we go. Next, select the 5 paragraphs beginning with compose with care and ending with be bold. These are these 5 paragraphs right there. Click the font dialog box launcher. Remember that this is the font group. You see the word font here. The dialog box launcher is down here to the right. So if I click this, it will launch the font dialog, which basically gives me all of the options out there. From here, we need to select small caps effect. When you select small caps, watch the sample text, what happens. Small caps, suddenly everything's capitalized, it's just they're smaller letters. Bold the selection, and finally close the dialog box. So from here in the font dialog, we can bold the selection. We could have also done this, I believe, through here in the font group, But again, my IT lab is kind of finicky, so I'm not one to take chances. I'm just going to go ahead and do it from here. Click OK to close the dialog box. Next, we need to push Control End. Now, for me on a Mac, this is a little weird because I don't have an end button. Some of you may not have an end button, so you may have to do some Googling. I literally had to look up Googling. I literally had to Google this. So for Macs, you hold down the Control button first, and then the Function button, which is the FN button in the lower left-hand corner of your keyboard. If you're on a PC, ignore this and just hit Control End, like it says. The end is going to be up by the Delete key in sort of the middle upper right section of your keyboard. Anyway, so on the Mac though, it's going to be Control, and then hold down the FN button, and then the right arrow key. All right, there we go, all the way to the end. Select the last line, let Philips Studio L Photography preserve your memories. So here we are, select that. Select a text effect of fill, blue accent 1, outline background 1, hard shadow accent 1. That's a mouthful. Row 3, column 3. Text effects can be found right here in the font group text effects. Just in the font group, there's a text effects drop down. Click on that. And the easiest thing to do in this case is row 3, column 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not right. Row 3, column 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Losing my mind. And question complete. 1 down, 14 to go. All right, select the text in the first body paragraph beginning with if you enjoy taking digital pictures and ending with when taking pictures. So if you, when taking pictures. Perfect. Now notice what just happened there. You see that? I selected down to pictures and then it auto-completed the rest of the selection, selected everything else. If yours doesn't auto-complete, hit that reset button and try it again because it wants you to select this just so, and then it will auto-complete. If you don't see the auto-complete, you did something wrong. Just reset it. Now we're going to change the line spacing. This is something that I know a lot of you are familiar with already based on your papers. So if you come in here, you can select 1.15, and there you go. I have to tell you, I feel kind of foolish laughing at my own jokes, but my family would tell you that's nothing new. But anyway, now change the alignment of the selected text to justify. All right, this is something that you may not have noticed before. We've got left justify, or align left, center, and then right align. You probably messed with those before. This option to the far right is called justify, and this is seen in some text. Essentially, it gets rid of this ragged right edge and pushes all the text over so that it fills out completely. Now, on my desktop publishing background, I shudder just a little bit on this because this is so wide. It makes it a little more difficult on the eye to have fully justified text across something so wide. In just a moment, we're actually going to change this into a 2-column document. And in that case, I think the justify works better. But again, that's just my opinions. And then finally, change paragraph spacing to 6 points after. This is genuinely a good thing to know. I'm going to use the paragraph group's dialog launcher. Get my paragraph dialog here, and there is an option for spacing before and spacing after. Watch the preview down here as I select after of 6 points. Well, in a real word situation, it would show you that, boom, it spaces out just a little bit. What's nice about this is it gives every paragraph, or every paragraph marker, 6 points of space immediately following it. It's really nice, and it's better than double-spaced, in my humble opinion, because it still looks readable with the tight paragraph here, but paragraphs themselves have spaces in between them. This is a nice alternative to having a first paragraph indent, which we'll talk about in just a sec, but modern publications a lot of them don't have indentation, and so as a result, the way that they make sure your eye doesn't get lost is by having spaces in between paragraphs. All right, right along the second line, courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. Add a first line indent. Oh, right align that one. So that's going to be this alignment right here in the paragraph group. I'll click on that, which shoves it over to the right. And then finally, add a first line indent to the first body paragraph, beginning with "if you enjoy taking digital pictures." All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just put my cursor in here, inside the paragraph itself. This is kind of a nice thing to know. You don't actually have to select the whole paragraph to make a change to it. You just have to have your cursor inside it. So I'm going to click on the dialog launcher, and in here there is a section called Indentation. Special, there's a drop down called First Line. That's what we're looking for, so first line. And it doesn't say to do anything else with how big it is, so go ahead and leave it at the default of 0.5 inches and click OK. And you notice that the indentation moved over, and we got the question correct. 2 down, 13 to go. Press Control End. So again, I'm going to use my tricky trick here, Control function right arrow. That's exciting. For those of the rest of you that are on PCs, just hit Control and then the End key. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to display the ruler. And there's a very good reason to display the ruler, and that is so we can adjust tabs and leaders. Now, this right here, honestly, this is like one of 5 things in this class that you need to know. This will just make your life easier. It will make your documents better. There's a lot of things in this class that are kind of nifty, kind of cool, but this is important for a lot of stuff. So all school joking aside, this is actually really useful. All right, I'm going to go to the View tab and click on the Ruler checkbox here. This actually puts a ruler here on my screen. And then it's going to say, change the tab selector to a right tab, and then click at 5.5 inches on the ruler to set a right tab. All right, so a little bit of context here. In the upper left-hand corner, we've got what's called the tab selector. Right now, it's set to be a left tab. You know, when you're in a Word document and you hit tab, it jumps over a certain amount. You can actually control what that does and how it behaves. In this case, we're not going to use a left tab. We're going to click once, twice to get a right tab. And what that means now is when I hit tab, well, now I have to actually place this tab stop at the 5.5 inch mark. So I'm going to come in my ruler, 5.5, and click to place that tab stop right there. Now, in the old days with typewriters, my understanding is this was actually a thing. This was a physical thing that you moved over on your typewriter and set in place, and then when you hit the tab, instead of going 0.5 inches, it went shunk and went all the way over to the bit of metal that you'd put down, and so it would go shunk and stop at that tab. So you'll see what the ramifications of this are in just a sec. But the way you add tabs is you click on the tab selector to get the kind that you want, and then you click on the ruler. This now means that since it's a right tab, that when I hit tab, it will jump all the way over to 5.5 inches, and as I type, it will build it backwards, so it will be right justified as we go. Again, you'll see this, but here we go. Click the 5.5 tab and select a dot leader. This is the good part. I'm going to double click on it, double click on that right tab, and select 5.5. because that's the tab stop that I want to modify. And there's now a leader right here, number 2, which is what this does is it puts dots in between the tabs themselves. So watch what happens. I'm going to select that dot leader and click OK. And now it wants me to press tab. Notice that the computer, the simulation, added a left tab right here just to make things easier for us. So I'm going to hit tab, and the first place I go is shunk over to the 1 inch mark. A little off because of the simulation, but whatever. Now I'm going to type Monday, Friday, and press tab. Watch what happens. Shunk goes all the way over to that 5.5 inch. Again, a little out of whack because of the simulation here. But it puts dots all along the way. So if you've ever tried to do this and hit period, 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 all over and over and over again, you're doing it wrong. You want a tab stop with a leader on it. Okay, so now I'm supposed to type in 9:00 hyphen 4:00. Remember to put spaces before and after your hyphens. Okay, now we hit enter, tab, and we're going to type Saturday, tab. This is 9 a.m. Oh, watch out. 9 a.m. space hyphen space 2 p.m. and enter. Tab, closed Sunday. There we go. So tab stops with leaders. I will probably revisit this when I come back because I really think it's important and it'll make your life easier. Okay, 3 down, 12 more to go. Select the 3 tabbed lines at the end of the document, beginning with Monday to Friday and ending with closed Sunday. Okay, there we go. Open the Borders and Shading dialog box and display the Borders tab. So this is going to be in our paragraph group on the Home tab. And this is Borders and Shading right here. Now I could click this part of the segmented button and just put a bottom border on. That's wrong. I want to click the arrow instead and choose Borders and Shading. All right. In the Borders and Shading dialog box, select Shadow Setting. Done. With the double underline style, 7th in the list. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Classy. I'm going to click OK. Now change the shading to blue, accent 1, lighter 0. Now I don't want to actually change, I don't want to deselect things. You notice it said that, do not deselect text. Change the shading to blue, accent 1. Shading is found right here in the paragraph group. Click on that. Blue, accent 1, row 3, column 5. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just hover over to make sure we got the right one. Blue, accent 1, lighter 60. That is the one. Click on that. The paragraph now has a style, a shading behind it. Okay, 4 down. Something else to go. I'm not a math teacher. All right, at the beginning of the document, select the 5 bolded paragraphs, these ones right here. Click the numbered arrow and then select the third option in the first row of numbering library. What this wants to do is it wants us to change the numbering, and we are going to select this one, third option in the first row. That changes it to be a numbered list for you web developers out there, an ordered list with a style of a number and then a right parenthesis. Scroll to the depth of field section on page 2 and select the 4 sections called aperture, lens, etc., etc. Apply a hollow round bullet to the selected paragraphs. So this is again in the paragraphs group. And I can just click here on this segmented button and just throw a paragraph at it. Really, this is the last the last bullet style used. We're not going to worry about that though. Instead, we're going to go into the full bullet library and select hollow round bullet. Now, this doesn't have a hover over, so don't worry. This is the correct one, hollow round, which adds bulleted style and completes the question. 5 down. All right, number 6. Click the Design tab. Select a theme of organic with a color scheme of violet 2. All right, now this right here, this is a way to kick your documents into high gear really, really easily. So you maybe have seen this, right? Document formatting. We've got document formats already built in. So we've got the basic, we've got basic simple, we got basic elegant, we've got centered, lines, minimalist, shaded, Word 2003. Essentially what these all are different themes, right? So different ways, different combinations of fonts and sizes and spacing that someone else has come up with. Now that's really cool, but that's not what this question is asking about. This is actually discussing or asking about a theme. Well, in addition to the overall sort of fonts and spacing and all that nonsense, you can go to themes and select different color themes in combination. So you can say, or not color themes. These are themes of fonts and a basic color set and color sets. So they want an organic theme. From here, I can now select a color scheme. So from here, within this theme itself, I can select Violet 2. So I hope that you appreciate how awesome this is, right? First off, you can select a theme, and then you can do a color scheme with that as well, on top of your formatting baseline. So a lot of times people try and get cute with their documents and format them themselves and try and figure out for themselves, a good look. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, Word's built-in styles do a really good job and make you look really good when you're doing a report. It used to be, back in 2003, Word 2003, that the themes weren't very good. But since then, they've hired like people with taste or something, and suddenly they are good. So anyway, keep that in mind. Here we go. Select text beginning with courtesy of Philips Cell Studio and ending with taking pictures. This is another one of those select up to here, and then the simulation will select everything else. Again, if this doesn't happen for you, reset that button because something went wrong. Click the Page Layout tab and format selected text in 2 columns. So page layout, we're over here in columns and select 2. Notice that I only selected courtesy down, so basics of photography will be exempt from that. Center the first line, basics of photography, speaking of the devil. And so there it is, it moves into the center. Click in the first body paragraph beginning if you enjoy taking digital pictures, and drag the first line indent marker to the left margin to remove the indent. So this essentially represents someone getting wise to the fact that we're now in 2 columns, we don't need this 0.5 indent. So now that I'm in this paragraph, I can come up to the top and notice that my ruler shows my first line indent at 0.5 inches. Well, what I can do is actually click and drag that all the way back to baseline, right there, and it goes away. Well, it should go away. Simulation has a little glitch there. All right. Cool. Question 8. Select the heading lens and apply heading 1 style. All right, this is another thing that is huge, and I'm going to go over this when I come back in much more depth. But styles are super, super, super important. Essentially what we're doing is by putting our cursor here in lens and then clicking heading 1, what that does is it defines this paragraph as a heading 1, and it will behave that way. There's a couple of really good things that happen there. The one that I really want to point out, though, is what we do next. Next, we're going to open the Styles pane and modify the heading 1 style to include a double underline. Throughout this document, there's a bunch of things that are set up to be heading 1s, camera body, composition, right? And so by changing the heading 1 style, by right-clicking on it and selecting Modify, I can change it in one spot. Change something in one spot, and it updates all the heading 1s at the same time. Again, I'm gonna talk about this a lot when I get back because it's one thing that's near and dear to my heart. But for here in the dialog box, I'll click on Font, the Format drop-down, and we want to include an underline style of double underline right there, I think. Classy. And click OK and OK. And see how it applied the heading 1 and to this heading 1 and to the other heading 1. You may not think that's very exciting, but picture yourself with a 300-page book, right? And suddenly you decide that you want to change your heading styles. Instead of having to go through the entire book and maybe missing one, you can update the styles, and all of the things throughout the document that are set up to be heading 1s automatically change. It's amazing. All right, here we are. Question 9. Click the Design tab. Select the Lines Simple style set. So these are style set. And Lines Simple? No. Lines Simple. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna, there we go, it's Lines Style Set. Click the Home tab, And select the second line, courtesy of Philips Studio. This guy's right here. So I'll go ahead and select that. Change the font color to plum, accent 1, darker 25%. So here we are in the font group of the Home tab. And plum, I think, is this column. Yes, it is. Darker 25%. That guy right there. So I'll click that. Did it right. Select only the text in the first bulleted line, aperture f-stop on page 2. Page 2, aperture f-stop. Here we go. Selecting text. Format it with a solid round black bullet. So again, we go back up to our paragraph group, and instead of just clicking bullets, we click the drop down and do the solid, whatever it is here, the solid round black bullet. There we go. Click the bullets arrow. All right, so there it is. So you notice that aperture f-stop is different than the others. Click the bullets arrow again and select define new bullet. Okay, so we'll click on this, and the whole point of this is that you can define a new bullet, you can put a symbol or picture. In our case, all we're going to do is change the color of the bullet to be this plum, darker 25%. And then hit OK. And OK. So now we've got this cool bullet here that is solid and purple and nice looking. So, okay, so with the insertion point in the first bulleted line, aperture f-stop, open the styles pane. So this is the styles group. We'll click on the styles dialog, or the styles launcher, which in this case opens up the pane. And it says, create a new paragraph style called bullet paragraph. Well, I've got aperture f-stop selected right now, so that's good. And now I'm going to click new style down in the lower left. When I do that, it takes whatever I've selected here and assumes that that's the basis I want for my new style. I'm going to call this bullet paragraph and create a new style. Okay, so I'm going to hit bullet paragraph and hit OK. Now you notice that I've got bullet paragraph right there. Next, apply the bullet paragraph style to the 3 bulleted paragraphs below aperture f-stop. So in order to do that, I'm going to select my 3 other things here and then click bullet paragraph here or bullet paragraph here. Once I've done that, I just need to close the styles pane, and there we go. So there's a lot here. I hope that you're getting an idea of why styles are so great. I love styles, and part of it is because it has a direct application with web programming. You may not think that you're a web programmer, but if you understand styles in Word, you're really close to being there. All right, here we go. Press Control Home. So for me on the Mac, my goofy thing I have to do is Control Function left arrow key. Fun. Change the view to outline. I'll go up to the View tab and click on Outline. So this changes the document itself. Instead of showing the document, this is now showing the outline, which for a document of this size, okay, cool, that's not that exciting. But picture again, you've got a document that's 300 pages long. Outline view becomes very, very handy. So what we can do is, sorry, Dad, not right now. Anyway, what we can do is go, all right, it wants us to say, show the outline through level 3. So I'll go to all levels, level 3. There we go. Drag to position the heading blurry images due to camera shake above blurry images due to focus, right? So this is really cool. So I can click and drag this and reorder it, right? So I hope you see what's happening here. It's essentially a way for you to pull back and mess with the document as a whole without having to like highlight stuff and copy and paste, etc., etc. All right, expand shooting from below. This just wants you to double click on it and gee whiz, hey look, there it is. All right, and that's it. Now close outline view and we're on our way. All right, we're in the home stretch. 5 more. Click to place the insertion point to the left of the depth of field heading. Okay. So depth of field heading, here we are. Click the Insert tab and insert a picture, the kayak picture. Now, you thought that the double underline was classy. Wait till you see this. Yeah, that's classy. All right, rotate the picture to the right 90 degrees. Make sure that you're on your Format tab here on Picture Tools. Your Rotate is actually right here. Rotate Objects. Click on the drop-down and just read the options. Rotate right 90 degrees or 90 angstrom degrees. We won't worry about that. That's just a glitch on the simulation. So I just always look at the arrows. So clockwise, counterclockwise, etc. All right, rotate right 90 degrees. There it is. Okay, next question. Question 12. Change the width of the selected picture to 1.5. All right, so I'm going to click on the picture. Again, make sure that I'm on the Format tab, the contextual tab for Picture Tools. And I'm going to change 1.5 in the width right here. You see I've got a size group here. I can type whatever I want in there, and it will automatically, because of the simulation, I have to type it in and then hit enter. Is that what happened? Oh. Okay, my first reset. Let's try this again. All right, so I'm going to select the picture, go to my Format, and I'm just going to click this down using the arrows to 1.5. Okay. Oh, I'm on height. Let's try that again. Boy, life's tough when you're dumb. All right, again, make sure you got the picture selected, Format, and width down to 1.5. Boom. All right. Click the layout options and then select square text wrapping. Now you may be looking up here saying layout options. What? It's this contextual button to the right of the picture. So layout options. So click layout options and select square text wrapping right here, square. And then close layout options if necessary. So I will close that. Notice that when we did that, the text sort of moved up around the image. Very, very nice. Very, very classy looking here. All right, apply soft edge rectangle picture style to the picture. All right, so again, I have to make sure that I've got the picture selected. Go to Picture Tools Format, and then I come down here to Picture Styles. Now there's a bunch of them. You could sort of scroll through them if you want. In these cases, it's always better to just do the big launcher, the More button. And first row, sixth column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, soft edge rectangle. Oh boy, now we're getting classy. Click Corrections in the Adjust group. So upper left here, we'll go to Corrections. And we want to go to some huge name here. So it's going to be fourth row, third column under brightness contrast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And there we go. Question completed. 2 more to go. Question 14. Press Control Home. Control, for me, Goofy here, function left arrow. The rest of you people with PCs, Control and the Home key, which exists on your keyboard. Click the Insert tab and insert a text box by clicking the paragraph mark below, courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. All right, this right here, probably the weirdest section of this whole assignment. I had to get it wrong in order to figure out what was going on. I'll just cut to the chase for you. What they want you to do is go into the Insert tab and over here to Text Box. Click on the text box drop down and then select Draw Text Box. Now I don't know why you do this when you've got such nice text boxes right here that you can use, but like I say, we're doing classy stuff here. This is classy. So we'll click Draw Text Box, and then it wants you to just click on the paragraph marker. So that's what we're doing. All right, so there it is. Next, resize the text box to 0.6 high and 2.5 wide. So now I'm in the Drawing Tools contextual tab. I'm going to use height and width correctly this time. So 0.6 high, 0.6, enter, and 2.5, enter. All right, with the insertion point in the text box, type contact us, contact us, and then press enter, and then type in a phone number, 610-555-0021. Change text wrapping for the text box to top and bottom. Okay. Again, this is in the layout options over to the right. I believe you can also use wrap text right here, so top and bottom. I think that works just as fine, but just recognize it's essentially the same thing. And then click the dashed line surrounding the text box so it displays a solid line. What this is referring to is right now we're editing the text box, and so we've got a dashed line running around it. It wants us to click on the border. When I do, it selects the whole text box. I'm not inside it now anymore. I have it just selected. And then it wants me to now center the text within the text box. So in the home group, I just click center. And because I have the entire text box selected, it centers all the text. Apply a shape fill of plum accent 1 lighter 80% to the text box. Now you're going to want to go here to shading. Don't do that. Go to the Format tab and go to Shape Fill. So Shape Fill on this text box of accent 1 plum lighter 80%. So second row, fifth column, looks about right. Nice. All right, final question. Select Basics of Photography on page 1. Click the Insert tab and insert Word Art. So Word Art is interesting. It's right here on the Insert tab. You can use it. The question of whether you should, that's a whole other thing. Word Art used to be ultra cheesy in 2003. You could pick it out a mile away. It's come a long ways since there. I mean, you can get away with using a lot of it. In my opinion, less is more on Word Art. Don't use it all the time for everything. But, you know, for a quick title and stuff like that, it can be pretty nice. Okay, it's going to be first row, second column, 1, 2. And then the Word Art now becomes sort of a fakey text box. And so it wants word wrapping as well. So we're going to change the word wrapping to top and bottom, like so, top and bottom, using the layout options pane. And then close the layout options if necessary. I'll go ahead and close that. And that is the end of the assignment.